Oh, I gotta push this way. You just hear the all right off of the I don't know what the desk is cooking up today, but I know when I start hearing Prez followed by why not, I start to wind the sanity. But we'll see how much sanity we have left. We have the Washington Justice versus the Florida Mayhem, and it's been hot and cold for both these teams throughout the season.
Yeah, it's we've had like our bell curve of belief in Washington Justice, where they start off okay, I suppose, and then it's like an inverse bell curve. We just have the immeasurable disappointment in the middle, and then we get hopium for one last game against the San Francisco Shock. We're like, oh yeah, they might be good again, and then the entire roster implodes, and we're like, okay, so what have we got left? Well, I'll show you what we've got left in our group of starters here, because Lemon, these are all legacy members of the Washington Justice, but the thing is, only 2 of the previous starters are still here, in Decay and Opener. For Assassin, Kalios, and Krillin, they're going to have to slot into a coordination-focused meta off the hoof.
Yeah, it's interesting that they chose to keep Kalios, because they were just always starting Mag, and I think Kalios like shined in more of those Sigma and Zarya maps, but even though we've seen like Dallas Fuel and other teams incorporate their off-tank, their former Zarya player, to be that Junker Queen user, and kind of just the style around that Zarya player, I think bodes well for most teams. Now that the Justice have shed the extra weight or whatever's going on, is this going to be like the #1 roster? Because there is no substitute. If someone comes in mental boomed or not on their A game, there is no kind of backup plan here.
What do you mean? We got Mike from Socials or something?
Stop.
Who's ready to play? Oh, okay, let's talk about the Florida Mayhem. A team that do have some substitutes, and are going to be showing off some other players today. Enxi is going to be starting on the bench, and Hydron's going to be coming in, likely to play the Sojourn Lemon. I think this one checks out, as Hydron is the Sojourn player, better for the faster pace that we're expecting on Control. But for me, Florida Mayhem, I'm really interested in how they're going to be playing our Escort and hybrid maps, where they usually play double flex support, which tends to be a bit of an IQ check for other teams, seeing how good their pathing is, seeing how much they can minimize the damage from the anti-nades, as well as avoid those discords. And for a newly sort of minted roster of 5 like the Washington Justice, who haven't been playing as 5, this particular 5 for a while, that might be difficult.
And I think at the start of the season, I was so hype and high on someone, because just his Winston play, his decision making was all there. But then I started seeing him flex to other heroes, and then I was less impressed. But I think if he's just such an aggressive guy, and I think really playing with your team is important. So some Winston skills can transfer here, but at least his aggression is something that can be rewarded in the Junker Queen meta, because you can't be half decisive on your pushes. But we'll see if Florida even go for any Lucio now that Animo is there starting, but we will be starting at least on Lijiang Tower, and specifically Gardens, for our first round.
All right, this is an area where we have occasionally seen some weird things like the Echo come out, and it's not beyond the realm of possibility with Assassin in, but we've got to assume that Decay is going to be moving over towards the hit scan role, which he played famously with Dallas Fuel back when he played a little bit of Cassidy for them before that particular Dallas Fuel implosion. And Assassin's likely going to be coming in to play the Genji. Assassin has a very stable roster of heroes in sort of like the flanker mentality. He's been a Sombra, he's been a Tracer, he's been a Genji, and Doomfist back when Doomfist was a damage hero. For Florida Mayhem, it's interesting that I think they've been playing more some Marjed, or rather they've been playing more Animo RuPaul as their double main support, I think. So some Marjed coming in to play Lucio might be an interesting change, and I'm surprised that they don't actually have Animo playing the Lucio. There's a lot of teams right now, they're putting their classical main support player on the Lucio because he's such a unique sort of mechanical skill set that you don't want someone to just pick it up off the bat.
I guess I didn't have Surmajet on Lucio on my bingo card. Either way, it's a quick dash in for Assassin. Already forced to use the deflect, and Kalios was half health and finished off by Hydron, just stuck in the middle of the map. So almost Justice went in a little too aggressive, used all these cooldowns, and just the burst from Florida and their disengage was just that much stronger. So aggression has to be measured in some ways, and you have to have a plan when you do go in, and Justice didn't find themselves with any low targets to execute.
My boy Kalios showing off his best Doomfist cosplay on the Junker Queen. Just W. If they die, they die. If I die, I die. Florida Mayhem, plenty of damage done, and now they can sit pretty on the point, waiting for Washington Justice to expend resources.
Oh, Assassin's just in the middle of the map, just getting clobbered by Florida. But as everyone from Florida just looked at Assassin, Onimo found himself getting just chalked up by Justice. So without that healing, Florida did struggle a little bit. They have Hydron and Surmajet near the point, checkmate over in Dojo, but there's just Washington playing more as a unit as they're following from target to target. So we're left with Justice getting the flip at 33 for Florida.
Ignominious passage of play there from Assassin. Welcome back to our mate. I know you've been on the bench for a while. It's good to stretch those legs out. Decay now has been doing a great job of pressuring someone.
Yeah, just a disruptor shot right at his toes because Decay knows what's coming. It's the checkmate Blade. 13% faster than Assassin 2. Like we said, just the old generation makes a huge difference in these fights, especially on control. So Florida seconds away from getting the point back in their favor. Like, any defenders, question mark?
This is going to be a no defense kind of day, you know? I don't feel like defending today. Assassin does have a blade ready to go, but it's going to be heavily mitigated, Lemon. Not only will there be a disruptor field from Hydron, but also double support ultimates, which is well ready to go. Kalios isn't too close to the Rampage, so Martin and Animo aren't going to feel overly threatened to have to wait for the Rampage and can instead just deal with Assassin.
Oh, Assassin, it's his time to shine with the blade, countered by the sound barrier from Surmajet. Couldn't kill those supports in time before the resources came out, but you got 2 support ults out. Onimo had to use the rally, and Florida are falling. At least the Hydron overclock left unmitigated was what really stood tall for this Florida fight. So one more to go until they take the round.
One more fight, and it's going to be from a defensive posture as well, where someone's going to have an advantage on the generation of a Rampage and on Washington Justice having to path towards the point. If they go through the outside room here, it's going to be so easy for someone to set this up with a combination of a Raw and a Rampage. Everyone's going to be in the path of this, and it should be a 4 or 5-man ante.
All right, Florida just have to win this fight, and they're around the corner. Justice, see if they can survive the upcoming Rampage. Someone just got it. He rushes in. Oh, it's Opener, Kalios, and Assassin, and is in the backline with an axe, and it has the Justice's name on it, and there's nothing left from the Justice. At least 5 starters after that one. Florida will be getting round 1.
Maybe an unfair comparison, given that it's about 1 fight win to 4, but Checkmate right now is doing 50% more damage than Assassin. 4.5k to 3k on Assassin, and Checkmate has been a very standout Genji. Really, it's been a bit of a renaissance year for Checkmate. Even at 7-7 for Florida Mayhem, Checkmate kind of drew a short straw in coming into a, here he is, coming into a somewhat disorganized Florida Mayhem and having to become their Reinhardt player last year, but finally Checkmate's had a year where he's actually been able to play his role, and he's been excelling at both the Echo and the Genji.
And in that moment, that was all set up by someone's Rampage who got it, I think, about 10% faster than Kalios. And every percentage matters, whether it's Checkmate getting Blade first, someone getting Rampage first. Made a huge difference. Now we go to Night Market, where Florida already starting their push on the right side. Kalios at least knows it's coming, and now Justice can just play the chokes, but Checkmate's already made it out. He was going after Decay, but the rest of the Florida were just rushed into the room, so we're a bit disconnected, and Surmajet and Onimo just die on impact. So it's a bit disjointed from Florida, as Justice will head to point to cap.
Well, excellent crunch in there. The thing is that Florida Mayhem died so fast that there was no real extended fight for Washington Justice to turn into a significant ult advantage. Only really Krillin and Opener going to be able to pull ahead, but the real advantage here is going to be in the positioning. Assassin has to be careful not to get forced to use either his dash or his reflect too early, as Opener gets a touch for his scheme. What in the world?
Yeah, just a double jump, easy to hit for Decay. Headshot ends Checkmate there. 5-on-4 as the Justice are not afraid to rush into a tiny room and just farm up some more. You almost wish Florida disengaged a bit faster after that, but how can you disengage when your taxi of Surmajet is over on Mega? So 2 fights in a row for Justice.
Overall here as well, when the chase downs from Washington Justice. That's going to be staggers and allows more time for Washington to set up. I really like actually that Decay's the one to move over to the Sojourn, because not only is Decay a really good hit scan player, but also as one of the people who was part of the starting roster of Washington before, he very much understands the flow of Junker Queen versus Junker Queen and can get good value out of these disruptor shots to slow down someone.
How will you slow down Florida? They at least clear their high ground because Assassin was up there, and they might think that he is Blade, so Florida do not want to allow this Genji in their back line. Speaking of which, the fight starts for the Justice, who use the shout and the rally of Krillin to just out-sustain the Florida Mayhem as Justice just out-brawl them. And as soon as Florida get disconnected, every second that Checkmate and Hydron are not involved to do damage is just levels more for the Justice, who are flawless this round already.
I did have worries about Washington Justice coming into this. They wouldn't really understand the nuances of a composition as well, or rather not understand, but not be able to really play on the nuances as well as a fresher roster. But in the end, like, the only nuance that Washington have needed in this is just press W at Florida Mayhem and make sure that they can't keep taking these punches to the face. Now Assassin has the Blade ready to go, and Samaja and Animo, their ult generation has been abysmal.
Oh, Assassin just dashed in the middle of 5 people with the Blade. Just barely got an ounce of a shout, but all the damage allowed for the recess of Assassin. Good to see him here with a 3K2 and 100-0 for the Washington Justice, who send us into round 3.
Suffice to say, Checkmate is no longer doing 50% more damage than Assassin. It's a little bit more even now. And that was actually a really cool Mega Pack steal as well from Assassin when he got the short dash to go through the Brigitte, steal away that Mega Health Pack, making sure that there were no extra slashes that were going to be sustained by the Florida Mayhem. And it feels like Washington Justice, if they can just be a little bit more disciplined in the first fight like they were over on Night Market and the opposite of what they did on Garden, then they can settle into this comfortable rhythm of the second that you see Florida Mayhem, you hit them with the hard W and just punch them and punch them and punch them.
Final round. And at least Florida got away from the double flex support. It's making these fights a lot closer, but see now that we're on control center. First Symmetra TP maybe helps Justice get a similar position than Florida over on server's side. Kind of a great shelter position near the point, which has access to the back line. And speaking of which, both Brigittas fall over. One-man advantage for Florida, as someone just gets to continue to bulldoze the rest of the Justice, and Florida will cap first.
Kalios, again, being a very vulnerable target in these first fights, can't become a motif for the Washington Justice. Admittedly, Control has changed quite a bit in terms of how it's played because of the presence of a second speed boost, and how Control, it's all so much about getting that position in the first fight, and Kalios may have fallen into a trap of going for early shouts. Someone's in a position to get a very sneaky carnage here.
Just go to servers, and Florida just follow them right behind them, and just immediately look at Krillin and Opener, who managed to speed forward, get into the corner, and Florida get punished on impact. And that's 3 kills for the Justice to the 0 of Florida, despite Florida having the jump on them. So about 25% for Florida, as Justice are back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, maybe Mayhem trying to be a little bit too smart there with going for some sneaky plays from someone rather than actually clashing with the front line. It meant that someone was continuously playing catch-up with the Washington Justice and was so far from Samaja that he wasn't able to get any speed to actually catch up to the fight.
Now,
Kalios.
choke can be good for Florida. At least for now, or for Justice, I should say. Florida have made their way through. They're going to use the Blade. Checkmate's doing the same thing as Assassin right now, but Assassin is just getting his ankles broken by Hydron, who shifts back towards Spawn. Justice, meanwhile, still have 4 members alive at the choke, just missing Assassin at this point. So this might call for Kalios to call for the disengage and just hold on to the point to see if they can live long enough for Assassin to get back and have a full team.
Decay, a very valuable target is Krillin. No, Krillin needs to be with the team. He needs to be giving over this armor. He's too far split Lemon, but at least contesting the point.
Oh, he just gets shot in the face by Decay. Couldn't get the cover in time. Yeah, the rally was nice, but Florida are only down to 1, and the Sound Bear is not going to come out because Surmission's also dead. So there's no disengaging out of this if you're Florida, and Justice hold on.
Justice just do so much more damage. That's the long and short of it in that fight. Animo broken away. And now there are a pair of sound barriers to try and deal with. And Kalios is actually outpacing someone here. The substitute tank is coming in and doing more damage than someone who's been playing quite a bit of Junker Queen all the way through this meta. Kalios can take this fight for his own. It's only one.
Almost a big rampage. Down barrier, though, will help someone live up until the Decay shot hits him. Florida, 4 versus 5, now have to work their way through the choke. Maybe an opening pick from Hydron could help, and almost had sights on Opener, who just barely gets out. Body shot on Opener, but Justice starts speeding back to the point. It's final fight for the Justice that they have to win to take map number 1 and start off this roster apocalypse off on the right foot. Without Krillin, though, it's not looking too good. Not a ton of healing, but Justice just can play for picks. But Decay gets yoinked off his coast position as Florida now really want to search forward and see if they can get the flip, and they have to play on the objective because of overtime. So far, the frontline battle is working in Florida's way, and they can conserve this rampage for the next one.
The sad fact is, Krillin got booped off the map, and now the shout's going to come through from someone to try and catch these staggers. I doubt that Calio... the boop! And the block! Krillin blocked it!
Krillin blocked it too. That's a slippery corner. Either way, the rampage just to help Florida get ahead. They don't have supports though, so this is just gonna be rough for someone.
What's he doing here? What is he cooking? All right, Florida Mayhem now have to come and try and defend this point, Lemon. It is going to be Washington Justice streaming on it. Assassin has a blade ready to go. Checkmate is 12% away. He can't afford to die.
At least Checkmate was able to buy a bit of time. He bounces back towards the team. Assassins in the blade going after Audible. It cuts down the rally before Florida could really benefit from it. And no supports. An incredible flank from Justice, and especially Assassin, who gets to finally start and prove that he's worth to be on this team. And this overtime will go down shortly once someone is taken care of. And 100-63 will end our final round in map 1 to the Justice.
Rest in pieces to the 3-0 Predators. Rumors of Washington Justice's demise were greatly exaggerated. On Control, it appears that Florida Mayhem have been flummoxed, but as we move deeper into our map pool and Florida Mayhem move over to their special juju, the secret sauce, 11 herbs and spices of double flex support, will Washington Justice remain prepared for this battle?
I hated all of that, so
Thank you.
I'll deal with him while we see the rest of you after this break. Justice has been served, only in map 1, and it really went all the way to round 3. But Florida are trying out some different things. No, not just the double flex support, but putting their Lucio player not on Lucio.
Yeah, Animo, like, as we alluded to at the beginning of the previous game, Lemon, all teams seem to be putting their main support on the Lucio and the flex support over to the Brig, because Lucio's got such a unique mechanical skill set that it's very difficult to ask a flex support player just to learn it unless they happen to be Violet and they've just got cracked aim, in which case, you go ahead, mate. But putting Sir Majed on the Lucio is interesting because we had a famous stat card towards the beginning of the year that Sir Majed was the support player with the most deaths in the league, and getting picked off early as a Lucio, we saw in our previous match from Funny Astro on control, is not beyond the realm of possibility. So it's interesting that RuPaul, who I think was coming into play Brig before, is now benched, and Animo has been moved over onto the Brigitte. And I wonder if Florida Mayhem are maybe reacting quite heavily to what happens to them against the Shock. Maybe they got very confident going up against a Sombra-wielding London and winning 3-1 and thought, yes, you know what? We are the best. Then they get slapped by Shock and they're like, we are the worst. Change everything.
Yeah, and I think just on top of that, just slight mistakes from Florida, right? Just, it did go to round 3, 99, you know, all that, so it was incredibly close, but just these minor things, like whether it's checkmate double jumping in front of a charged up decay, you really want to try and keep track of these Sojourn charge when you can with the visuals that you do have, but I think there's quite a gap between Assassin and checkmate when it comes to just a Dragon Blade efficiency, and besides just this being a little bit overly aggressive in the first round, I think they've already started to adjust that and dial that back a little bit. But now that Florida get to defend this first, I mean, we saw a full hold even by Gladiators and the Shock, so it can happen here as well.
Who dares peek the Widow at the beginning of Baizu is the question. Decay is going to have a quick grapple up, and then it's back to Washington Justice. This is going to be a real test of Washington Justice on this rushing Junker Queen comp, Lemon, because you have to negotiate around these high grounds, and it's incredibly difficult to do because Florida Mayhem essentially can surround you on all sides, and you've got to move under their territory to even have a chance of assaulting them in the first place.
So no Ash on the offense, so no dynamite usage, but again, we kind of noted this in the last series. The escapability that Sojourn has is important as Justice just go under and then walk up the stairs, and they're taking insane amounts of poke, but they're really measured on how close they want to get to Florida, and Justice never dropped below half health. Until, of course, Kalios did just there, but Justice got a lot of value despite taking way more poke at the beginning.
Okay, someone kind of staggers himself, but that's all right. You do you, mate. I think that one of the things that really defined that was that I think Hydron got his fully charged rail reflected into him by Assassin, and that's one of the major, like, shatter points of a fight as to when you can deliver the burst damage, really start to tax the enemy healers, and instead it meant that Hydron's healers were taxed, and he expended his rail, so Decay had an advantage in that fight after that from his own rail charging. Unbelievably fast from the Washington Justice. I said it was going to be a test of their efficacy, and honestly, Washington Justice are actually really impressing me today, which are pretty cursed words this season.
Opener doing some scouting. That is a little bit cursed, but some scouting from Justice. Is Florida not playing kind of the back corner? They're playing this front side, maybe hoping to have just direct access to Justice and within one shout distance, and Florida have already used theirs. Kalios is half health and unhealthy compared to someone who's taking lots of damage from Assassin, who gets to just climb up the building and avoid damage. So I really love the way Justice are approaching these fights. It never feels like inting, although it was kind of overly aggressive at the start of Li Xiong. It's looking a lot better now.
Kalios starting to hit these knives is important as well. On Li Xiong Tower, little tidbit, Kalios didn't actually get a final blow, even when his team won the second map until the third map. So Kalios being able to hit these and start forcing out resources from Mayhem to deal with the knife pools is super important for Justice, who now have a blade good to go and no answer from Mayhem.
Just meters away from capping B, and Hydron just falls over like a leaf, and then Assassin's just going after the supports. So unless Florida had an insane counter dive by checkmate, which his blade gets nothing, that was the only way Florida were going to make that winnable. Assassin is hard gapping checkmate right now.
The payload is yet to stop. There are no brakes on the Justice train right now. Krillin's moving forward. Yes, it doesn't matter. Send Vigilante to Atlanta. See if I care. I've eaten all the Senzu beans. Florida Mayhem sent scurrying back to spawn. Yes, they have 2 support ultimates here. And yes, they might have to invest them both in this next fight simply to get that premium of positioning. In our last series, we saw Shock use this high ground amazingly to hold on for almost 5 minutes. You've got to buy it by hook or by crook.
Oh, there's rally first from the defense. Florida just surging into the Justice, who just used their Shout or Lucio speed to just disengage. And now you have a rally advantage for the Justice, and maybe even a Rampage soon. So there is the Decay overclock into the rally of Krillin. Now Justice just have to sustain and outdamage Florida, who weren't even able to use the barrier to salvage that fight. So Justice are on a speed run right now.
2 deaths so far from a Justice, 1 for Assassin, 1 for Kalios. It has been a embarrassing couple of minutes for Florida Mayhem. Hydron's already solo, that forced out for Shout, but he still dies!
Oh, Florida just getting staggered. Now they have to fight this because this is last fight for Point C cap. So it's with the barrier of Surmaged, the Rampage from someone, and Justice just the pain train has not stopped, but it's costing the members. It's costing a lot. Kalios and Krillin are down, but Assassin is just deadlifting this lobby. Surmaged is escaping into the shadows when he was supposed to touch. Or I guess Hydron was supposed to. Either way, 4 minutes. 4 minutes for the Justice.
Hydron was there and he got 2 killing blows on the overclock and still didn't touch. Mayhem, are you okay? do you need a glass of water? A glass of water? A hug? Some medicine?
Yeah.
This is
Assassin is 19-1 right now. Checkmate is 3-5.
Wow, 19-1, and that reflex kill as well. That's a heartbreaker. Someone probably could have survived her a little bit longer, but guys, don't shoot the reflect. And then they shoot the reflect. Florida Mayhem, this was supposed to be a freebie. This was supposed to be the gimme against a team that's just lost 3 of its starters in a coordination-focused meta. But Washington Justice, evidently whatever understanding Supreme has of this meta, has been well-founded and transferred over to Kalios, over to Krillin, over to Assassin. The game plan remains very solid, and we saw this before from the Justice against the San Francisco Shock, who we just saw defeat the Gladiators 3-1. This team is not a joke when it comes to this meta. They weren't a joke, and now, even in their newest iteration, they are making Mayhem sweat and cry.
I mean, it's just a different understanding. I'm not sure if good or bad, because I'm not, you know, the six-figure coach over here, but Florida just holding different corners than the rest of the teams are when it comes to the defense, and we'll see if the offense, they've learned a thing or two here. No Widow shot, maybe a second one now that Hydron is up, and this is the Widow guy anyway. So I was kind of thinking Checkmate was going to look really amazing this meta. I thought Genji was one of his best heroes back in the initial Genji meta, but we'll see how Florida want to cross the road here. They got to look left, they got to look right, and Krillin is playing pretty far forward, and I'm wondering if someone wants to be aggro here, but not before Decay finds a headshot onto Checkmate. And that's not the first or the last time that that's happened, as the Justice just now need to kick everyone else from Florida out of their way, and that'll be first fight for the defense.
I mean, nothing else can tell you more. Like, you say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and the picture I'm going to show you is the rest of Florida Mayhem running away when someone's taken his engage. Like, are they talking to each other? Are the communications open? Can we open a channel between the Florida Mayhem and have them start talking about these engages? Because someone needs people to join him in these, otherwise he's just going to get farmed.
Now the disruptor shot kind of slows Florida on the approach, and someone starts swinging, but now he's taking shots from everyone, including Decay. And it feels like Florida going to these fights without a plan or even a target to look at, because someone was just swinging and shooting at the wall, and then Decay is just on top of him unloading. So it's just, Florida, what is the game plan here?
We need maybe Checkmate and Samaja to go as like a duo and try and force Decay off a high ground or something. There needs to be some onus to draw Washington Justice's primary attention away from the someone engaged so that a crunch can happen on that stairwell. But at the moment, Kalios isn't being punished at all for his aggression. He is managing to live through all of this because Krillin can just give him every pack. No one else is taking damage.
Well, someone is taking a lot of damage. At least it'll help Animo maybe get closer to the rally compared to Krillin, but It's the only advantage Florida's really working with, so someone's taking significant amounts of poke, and at any time that Florida are just peeking here, Justice can follow up with this, and so they do. As soon as someone was low, there's the dash in from Assassin, and the follow-up from Justice is really good. Florida are 2 minutes away from getting full health.
Oh, Decay finally falling, actually gets forgiven by those 2 stagger kills. Checkmate and Animo taking a while to come back means that Justice can now back off and play the second batch of high grounds with almost a complete armory. The war chest is stuffed to overflowing. 5 ultimates for second that Kalios does a little bit of damage, but likely you're going to start here with either the Blade or the Overclock to force out this rally from Animo, or Krillin can even force that as well by moving in by himself.
Okay, Checkmate. Good catch on the Assassin being low there. Good dash. Now the 5-on-4, you see everyone from Justice heading for the hills, and Krillin just rallies and ints into Florida. Not loving that at all. At least Justice can serve the rest of their ultimates and just give up this point. Maybe hope to hold the choke after this cap, and good job by Florida.
I can't believe it, Lemon. They opened the channels of communication. They're low! Scream Florida Mayhem. And Florida Mayhem here. And they find the people who are low and finish them. Krillin actually dies for second he pops rally, which is a bit of a tragedy for Washington Justice. Got to be a really good ultimate. Oh, hello. This is very fast. They've stolen the payload.
At least Florida, see how they're going to push this over now that Justice are in their spawn, and Checkmate just decides to go past the tank, go right after the supports. No Krillin, no opener, and no hope for the Justice. As Florida, maybe even doing the speedrun of their own.
No, I think they've probably lost too much time on A for that, Lemon. But hey, maybe when it comes to the payload portion, they can start ramping it up a little bit. Florida Mayhem, their ult bank has been drained somewhat. Here's a quick replay of opener during this. Oh no. Was it?
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Oh, I didn't see that either. What a shot from Hydron. That was just over the payload as well. That was a matter of millimeters. Unbelievable.
That guy got opened, but Justice can still hold for B. And you can even start the overclock at any time. Decay has full sights, but he wants to be as far away from Checkmate as possible. And maybe wants to wait out the sound barrier from Sir Majed. And it's time for the Assassin to pop the Dragon Blade as soon as the barrier is gone. So again, Florida, it might just be an understanding of the map problem, because it's ults being used without much of a plan.
Yeah, overall it was fairly even there in terms of the ults used, 2 from each side, I do believe. Now we're going into some fairly vanilla fights. However, this does mean Florida Mayhem are going to be at a slight disadvantage because they won't have control of the high ground. Remember, though, Assassin playing alone, him getting picked first is what lost point A for the Washington Justice.
Who's going to keep Assassin in check? Like, I want to see Checkmate give him way more attention. Assassin's just been above them, behind them, in front, and all over. And Florida just haven't had any reaction to Assassin so far. Like, some poke damage is going in, but Assassin is always permanent full health and has gotten 2 or 3 kills this fight alone. So Florida, I think maybe it's just about prioritizing who is the biggest threat from the Justice.
Man's really re-rolled into the raid with a cloak of invisibility this time. No one looking at Assassin, you're exactly right. So there's so much freedom to just sit in the back, get those right clicks up close with Hydron, deliver the burst damage that can't be really reacted to in time by Animo, because even though it is the only burst healing available, the armor packs, they aren't fast enough to heal through a Genji directly on top of you hitting right clicks.
Florida take a different route just to avoid as much poke, especially if Justice are going to have the high ground. They go and surprise Assassin, who were not able to kill him during that. Opener gets sent to Saturn and finish off by Hydron. So you got a 5-on-4 for the attack, 45 seconds for Florida, but they got to face the rally of Krillin after Onimos is long and gone. Florida still have the ults, and they just don't even need it. The brawl favors Florida, especially with someone still alive. Maybe, again, killing Assassin could be a fun objective Florida can focus on. And I guess we're going to commit a blade for it. Now we're just hyper-staggering Justice when their spawn rooms are right there. Checkmate gets yoinked by a knife. And Florida still want a cap? No, I guess the sound barrier and the speed from Washington. Florida choked that. I can't believe it.
That is unbelievable levels of, I don't know if it's unlucky or magic skill. Kalios bleeds and exsanguinates Checkmate to death. I'm afraid there's no time for chess. There's only time for L's. And Florida Mayhem are catching plenty of them here on Paraiso.
What a knife pull. I think Checkmate would have definitely gone out, and that would have been a better fight for Florida, but it's weird to see the Justice, after all that they've went through, just look like the way more experienced team when it comes to the macro, incorporating Assassin, who's not usually a starter and everything. And Checkmate had his moments, definitely looking better after map 1, but I still feel like Assassin is getting away with murder, quite literally, because no one is looking at him.
Yeah, it's been a mad series so far for Assassin, fresh off the bench and into the lobby. We know exactly why Washington Justice continued paying that salary now, even when he spent so much time benched. Assassin is still a talent to behold, Lemon.
So this is a series that's happening, so we'll be 2-0 for the Justice, and we'll see you all for map 3. Say it with me, chat. Toronto. And now that you've said it properly, you are allowed entry into Toronto for the first Overwatch League Canadian event at the Mattamy Athletic Center and presented by Bell. This will go down on September 8th to 11th, and we'd all love to meet you. There's going to be tons of stuff, not just Overwatch, but of course you can come join the party. There's a fan activation zone. There's going to be some Overwatch 2 free play. It's going to be an awesome time, and we're still trying to figure out what teams are even going to go there.
Oh yeah, we have no idea. Everything's up in the air right now, but while you just got your Toronto visa from Lemon Kiwi, witness Checkmate's visa to the Shadow Realm, delivered by Kalios. The bleed and the knife did so much and it just stopped Mayhem in their tracks, but honestly, should that path have been walked in the first place by Checkmate? He really wanted Assassin dead, I'll give him that, but the chase was probably an int.
There was some minting that occurred, but, you know, I'll
a little bit
chalk
trolling.
I know the desk were just having their brooms out. They're really interested in a reverse sweep, but we've seen Justice in this 2-0 spot before. Remember when they were up 2-0 against the San Francisco Giants? So.
Oh, I remember, Lemon. I remember. And I remember last week as well that Exy was playing almost all of the time, and so he is back in now for Escort. Honestly, Exy at times was like 1v5ing the San Francisco Shock in this meta. On the Ash, on Midtown, he was basically almost holding Midtown A solo at points. So I'm hoping that maybe Exy can be some of a special source to make sure Florida Mayhem aren't completely humiliated today, because they are close to it.
And we go to Circuit Royale, and you know who to call. Not the Ghostbusters, but Exy to do all the sniping for you. And this is a chance for Decay to give Justice a chance, but honestly, Assassin with this kind of new roster is a huge standout for me. And we'll see if Florida kind of the decision-making gets cleaned up, whether it's looking at leadership, looking towards coaches after this match, but still map 3, and it's not a Justice win until they get the 3-0. So hold your breath, everyone.
Oh, Custer and I were very much pumping the stocks of it being a 3-2 for Florida Mayhem just to allow maximum Justice tragedy, which is kind of like their premier currency. Like, Greece had Drachma, then it had Euro, and Washington Justice had playoff upsets as their currency, and now it's tragedy. However, thus far, Washington Justice, on a fundamental level, seem to be doing much better than Florida Mayhem, especially when it comes to controlling these engagements. Kalios had a huge glow-up on map 2. An Assassin, who did not play much at all before this match, I think he had about 2 hours game time all in this season, has come off the bench as an absolute monster.
Now it's a close spawn hold. Kalios just knocking the door like, come on out, buddy. It's time to slaughter. Florida, maybe even wanting to TP away from this. Can they even get to the TP? Only half of them go. I think only 3 of Florida went to the left side, and Animo's just dead. Checkmate swaps to the Ash to get some good dynamites in while the Justice are clumped up in front of them and within range. And despite losing Animo so early, Florida have the healing from the spawn room doors, so it's never going to be a resource problem.
As a Brit, my respect for Animo just tripled. I love a good queue, and Animo is definitely queuing up for that teleporter right there. Alas, Washington Justice caught by a headshot from Exy, already making a little bit of a difference here as the fresh hit scan over Hydron now. And it seems like the rails don't stop coming, and they continue doing damage and forcing those repair packs out of Washington and Krillin.
Florida about to round the corner. Kalios already low. I mean, that's an opportunity to engage unless Decay wants to slow things down with a shot, but he sees Checkmate, panics, shifts back. Kalios now is taking all the pressure and is about to die, but somehow Justice get the better punish. As all the attention was into Kalios, Justice went after the backline of Florida and killed Surmajit and Animo, which just ruins the attacker's chance to thrive.
Yeah, for some reason, Florida Mayhem there, as a team, they all sort of hung out in the Disruptor shot for far too long, Lemon. Not only does it slow them down so they can't control the positioning of a fight well enough, but also the damage means that the aura healing can't really keep up with the amount of damage that Washington Justice were doing. Now they can start to hold these corners, which is where Junker Queen's at her best, because she can set up for pre-casts on the Carnage and then jiggle peeking when the Carnage actually is going to strike, so it's harder to avoid.
Florida now are ahead of the Blade by 10%. This is where Checkmate can really shine, but Opener will have the barrier soon, and Exy drops already low. It's hard to jump away at that point. The rally starts for Justice, and without Animo, I'm surprised Florida are even still here. They should be calling to disengage, and Assassin is here to farm all of them. So there is no safe space for Florida, and every stagger is just precious seconds away from the attack.
Florida, if they do get 3 OT, I know that I'm well ahead of the curve on this one. It would be quite tragic for their chances of going to Toronto. They managed to get a fairly easy win against London, who were just so confused on the meta playing the Sombra, but the turnaround up against Shock was so poignant that we wondered if Florida Mayhem had the gumption to really make it. Kalios ready with a rampage here.
Florida just aren't even safe in their own spawn at this point. Like, they're trying to choose different doors, and they got the kill onto Assassin before his blade could be whipped out, but this is still not a great situation for Florida that they're having to use ults just to leave spawn. So at least they finished this off right, but a minute 15 just to get A, like, this is just significantly slower than your average Circuit Royale push.
And because Decay's the last one to die, who can actually play from afar, Washington Justice is going to be well set up for yet another fight here on A, and it is going to be on the premier corner to try and hold this zone. It is going to require some investment, though, to try and take it, because I think that Animo should be getting aggressive here with Rally to stop Washington Justice from getting this position.
Oh, that's a big rampage from Kalios, and I think it hits about 4. The pink on pink is kind of hard to see, but it's a sound bear from Sir Majed. Opener popping the same. Assassin has the resources to go for a big blade here. He chases after Checkmate, turns and burns, and someone's rampage even through all of that kind of dwindled down Justice a little bit, but not enough for Justice to thrive through, and 30 seconds remain, and Florida is still hanging around.
Someone's such a homie, man. I think he actually pulled Assassin back up from a potential environmental death with the knife. Come back here. I'll help you out. However, Florida Mayhem, they responded to that rampage well, but unfortunately after that, the lack of healing that could come through ultimately doomed that push. Now there are 10 seconds left. Florida Mayhem, they need to make it work here and now, but they're going up against a rally from Krillin that's going to be so hard to break through, and Krillin can get aggressive here.
Here's the rally from Justice, the speed, Checkmate, just backcap it. I don't think Justice can stop this. Well, they might have the speed. It depends what cooldowns the Justice have. Checkmate is meters away, 3, but it's too late. Florida's fight is already gone. I think around the corner might be Anima or Anima, someone is there, but Florida are dead in the water, not even getting point A. It's tragic.
This is a dark day for Floridians. More so than usual. I mean, the thing is, after this match, if Washington Justice win, these teams will now share a record at 7 and 8. And you never want to be sort of sharing a record with a team that's let go 3 of its starters from this meta. Washington Justice, though, I don't think we can undersell that this isn't just Florida Mayhem looking bad. This is Washington Justice with a very concrete understanding of their win conditions and how to play around them. And Kalios, I think, despite maybe a shaky control map, has come out with a really good understanding of the Junker Queen. And while my first impression of Kalios was him instantly dying after wasting his shout, the learning and adaptation that Kalios has had in this match itself has been sublime.
Yeah, it was a good disruptor shot there. Traps Florida right where Decay wants them anyway, and felt like there was some glimpses of hope for Florida. Whether it was like Checkmate being a little bit quicker on the Dragon Blade charge up, but Justin's spawn camp was quite lethal and scary. I mean, it costed Florida some ults just to break out, but we're gonna have a similar approach by Florida now.
The spawn camp. I'm a big advocate of teams just like full sending and just all inting onto one person. All we need to do is get one kill and force everyone else to disengage. That's a good speed boost, though. Now Florida Mayhem are charging onto the cart where Washington just have an aura heal.
Well, Florida just shouted second as well, so a bit more resource, but someone is dangerously low, and they're trying to play things passive until he's back up, but no! Decay goes in with the double kill finish. Insane stuff. And Justice break out of spawn immediately.
I don't know how the calls of Washington Justice have got better since they replaced half their roster, or at least moved up half their bench onto the roster. But that's such a good macro understanding to just fake at that door and then use your speed boost afterwards to fake over to the cart. Make sure that Florida Mayhem are chasing you, because when they're chasing is when they're at their weakest, because they have to expend resources to catch up. Washington Justice, now they only have to win one fight to claim their first series as this 5-man squad 3-0.
Decay is doing work. That's a great disruptor shot. Florida have barely a chance to escape. But still, just the fact that someone is even close to Krillin is a question mark for me. Brigitte should not be that close, but probably went for a whip shot or something to keep Inspire up and got punished. And the fight just folds for Justice without Krillin.
All right, got a touch too excited there. And Krillin dying first also means that Animo now has an advantage on the rally, and you can see from how close Florida Mayhem are here. They likely want to take an aggressive fight with the rally. They need to force out a shout or something first, though, otherwise it can just be a disengage.
Ooh, I thought Decay was going to be trapped there. He got surrounded by the entirety of Florida. There's Onimo rallying. Krillin doing the same thing, but being a bit more passive because he was at half health and not inting this time is great. Justice, though, you can see that off on the right side, Kalios is chasing after Surmajed, who's separated. And with Surmajed being by himself, he's not able to speed Florida in or out or anywhere at all. So I'd love to see Surmajed more with the team. Either way, Justice get past this point and have one more for the box of victory.
I mean, it wasn't just Sir Marjed Lemon. Animo was there as well. Both the Florida Mayhem supports got isolated from the rest of their team. They need to start talking to each other, and they need to do it now. Someone has to make sure that Checkmate survives if played, because it's the only tool that Florida Mayhem have to try and save their series.
Yeah, Florida playing at the other side of the cart. Wonder who's gonna pull the trigger first. It's the rampage into the overclock for Justice, and the back though is Checkmate with the blade and the sound barrier to replenish him. But Checkmate is just having a tough time going through the barrier of opener, and he doesn't disengage in time. Both Genjis removed, a one-man advantage for Justice, who are just meters away from getting the sweep, and Florida fall over, and Justice do it like that with the sort of transformed roster. Get a 3-0 over the Florida Mayhem.
Washington Justice, we've said it before, rumors of their demise were very much exaggerated. Florida Mayhem, though, rumors of their competence might have been exaggerated, Lemon. That was actually a really cool micro play as well from Assassin in that final fight. He actually stuck on the cart while Checkmate went to Blade, and that actually forced Florida Mayhem to overreact. And they kept 3 people on cart to stop a C9, and Checkmate had to go out and venture forth, sally out of a fort alone, and he was easily broken down in a 4 versus 1.
I did not think this series was gonna be like this. And now I'm sure Reinforce is on the desk like, you guys should have predded Justice. I was right. Well, I can't wait to see what Reinforce has to say. And I mean, the Justice fans have been let down, but finally they can rise up and have hope for this revitalized roster and maybe their chances to go to the Summer Showdown, because Justice are now 2-1.
Well, fresh off the bench and fresh onto your screens, right into player of the match as well, it's going to be the one and only Genji replacement, Mr. Assassin. Move over to K, you can play the Sojourn, because the Cyborg Ninja belongs to me, and so too to the Florida Mayhem.
Yeah, he did an incredible job. I mean, we already talked about like the double-digit final blows on Paraiso. I think the stats more evened up on Circuit Royale, where I felt like Checkmate had a slightly quicker generation there, but all throughout, for Assassin to go from bench to this, like I felt like he all should have been be a starter all along. This was a fantastic performance by just all of Washington, but especially behind Assassin, and they're going to need to depend on him. And that's kind of the same problem that Florida have, is needing a Genji that they can depend on.
That might be the highest hero damage per 10 minutes we have on Genji, because I think in our pre-show on Watchpoint, we had our number 1 and number 2 Genjis in Kevstar and Proper, and both of them were about 9.2. Admittedly against somewhat higher tier competition, but Assassin is really pushing the limits here when it comes to the Genji, and proving that he is not the B team for Washington. He was always just around the corner waiting to steal Decay's spot away from him.
This was a match indeed. I thought both series that we casted were going to be a lot closer. It was 3-1 for the Shock and now 3-0 for the Washington Justice. So we don't have the Game 5 curse. We even stopped the Shock versus Glad's curse, where they always go to 5 maps. But what it do for Overwatch? I think a lot of the teams look different going into week 2, just learning more about the meta and also the maps.
Yeah, this is also the second team we've seen that has somewhat collapsed in week 2. The first being New York Excelsior, the second being the Florida Mayhem. So I'm not sure how they degraded in play between the weeks, but hopefully they can turn that trend around before the next couple of games, Lemon.
I know, because all the teams only have about 3 matches each left, and the desk kind of highlighted that you need at least 3 wins to go to the Summer Showdown, so not that much time remaining. Speaking of the desk, we're going to throw it over to them to get an interview set up and close out our day. So we'll see you there.
수고했다.
나이스, 소원아, 잘했다.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to the Watchpoint Post Show, everybody. I'm here with Assassin from Washington Justice. Big congratulations on the win. I think not a lot of people predicted Washington to win, but you guys dominated. Quick 3 Overwatch victory for the Washington Justice. So let's just start off by how did you guys get the win today? 자, 오늘 첫 번째 질문 일단 승리하신 거 너무 축하드리면서 많은 사람들의 어떻게 보면 이제 좀 이제 생각과는 다르게 제가 봤을 때는 솔직히 말씀드리면 워싱턴 플로리다 일 거라고 많은 분들이 예상을 했을 것 같은데 워싱턴이 3대 0으로 승리를 거두시게 되셨습니다. 오늘 승리 어떻게 해서 이루시게 되셨나요?
저희가 초창기 때는 좀 서로 많이 힘들었었는데 이제 저희 코치님이랑 이제 감독님이 저희가 이제 힘들었을 때도 되게 멘탈 케어를 많이 해주셔가지고 그거 때문에가 좀 많이 큰 것 같아요.
All right, so in the beginning, I do believe that things were difficult. We were definitely having a hard time, but what really helped us a lot was, our staff and also our coaches and also our head coach really took care of our mentality. He told us that was the thing that our coaches were really focusing on. That was the mentality thing, and I think that really, really paid off big time going into today's match against Florida. Now, I gotta talk about your match. I mean, you were obviously the player of the match, Assassin, and you really just popped off on that Genji. But not only you, I think all of Washington Justice, you guys just looked unstoppable today. Do you believe because Washington Justice right now are going through some changes, some major changes, did that sort of motivate you to sort of perform better for today's match against Florida Mayhem? 자, 두 번째 질문은 이제 당연히 오늘 POTM을 먹으신 어쌔신 선수 너무나도 너무나도 잘하셨고, 그리고 어쌔신 선수뿐만이 아니라 제가 봤을 때 워스턴 전체가 다 너무나도 좋은 모습을 많이 보여줬는데, 이게 어떻게 보면 지금 현 상황에서 워싱턴이 좀 많은 변화가 이루어지고 있어서 좀 이거에 대한 좀 어떻게 보면 이제 사람들에게 우리는 아직도 좀 이렇게 센 팀이다, 좀 이렇게 좀 보여줘야 된다라는 좀 이런 집념이 좀 있으셨나요?
저희가 멤버가 바뀌어도 스크림 했을 때 다 좀 별거 아니었어가지고 저희는 또 이제 대회에서 저도 잃을 게 없다 생각하면서 게임을 임했다 보니까 그냥 과감하게 했던 것 같아요, 저희가.
All right, so I mean, even with the member changes in the scrims, there weren't that much of a drastic difference in our results. So with going into today's match, our mentality was even if we lose a match, there's nothing for us to lose. So I think we just went even more aggressive today against the Florida Mayhem. All right, Assassin, that is it for the interview. Again, big congratulations on the win. 자, 어쌔신 선수 이걸로 인터뷰 마치도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you.
네, 감사합니다.